What? Yeah, so if you noticed the title this week, which, sorry, Doc, but the title was just perfect. Out of the generosity of his heart, I managed to score an interview with Dr.Wolf via DVDR Notes. First of all, I didn't think this would happen. I had this idea before I even made the Starlight Glimmer episode of The Dark Side. I thought it would be fun and easy. Then doubts started creeping, and I got cold feet asking him since it was only my second actual episode and my third video on YouTube overall. There's no way it would work. However, eventually, whether it be out of courage or bottomless stupidity, I asked him, and he said if he had the time. Well, not entirely true. He pointed out how busy he was that week, and then I had to point out that I update every 2 weeks. He then said I should try the week where I don't update and see what happens. Now, what happened next is more due to you guys than the doc, but it was a major factor why I became more persistent. I have to thank you guys for over 100 views of my Princess Luna video. Now, when that happened, my confidence soared, and then I technically rescheduled the interview. It was a long process and kind of an emotional roller coaster for me, and if you want to know why, just simply ask. However, this was his response to the following questions. Number 1, who's his favorite pony? Number 2, who's his least favorite pony? Number 3, what's his favorite episode? Number 4, what's his least favorite episode? Number 5, how is he liking Season 6 so far? Number 6, what's his favorite project he's ever worked on? And number 7, are there any regrets? This was his response.
I suppose I really haven't had a favorite pony overall, because depending on the episode, there are certain characters that I like more than others, and that can change from time to time. However, I have had most relatable characters and least relatable characters. I know that Fluttershy and Applejack and Twilight do share a lot of similarities with me as far as personality traits. I suppose if I had to pick one, Fluttershy is just a little more relatable than the others. And I suppose I have said in the past that of the main 6, the one I least relate to is Rainbow Dash, but I still don't see her as a least favorite character because she can be very entertaining and even heartwarming and thought-provoking at times. It just depends on the episode. Now, as far as favorite episodes go, again, I have to go with the one that I probably relate to the most. And that would probably be Flight to the Finish. Scootaloo having to deal with not being able to achieve her greatest dream, and even the possibility that she may never achieve that greatest dream, as much as it tears her up inside. That is something that I talk about extensively in one of the A Moment with Dr.Wolf episodes, Dr.Wolf and Striving Onwards Without Your Dreams, in case you wanted to look that up. As far as least favorite episode, that probably has to do with the fact that I was just barely getting into the show and not really familiar with a lot of what was going on, and suddenly coming across one of the earliest episodes I ever watched was Hearts and Hooves Day. And the reason why it became just a sore memory for me is because of the constant schmoopsy-doo chat over and over and over. It doesn't take up that much of the episode, but it makes me cringe even now when I'm watching it. I don't know if I've ever really gotten into that kind of humor. I've grown to appreciate the episode as a whole a lot more since I saw it that first time, but just because I had a bad taste in my mouth the first time I watched it is probably the reason why it's the least favorite. Now, Season 6 thus far, I have been enjoying overall. It seems like they're trying to introduce a lot of changes to the series as a whole, and I like the fact that they are not trying to do the same things what they know work. They're taking risks here and there. Not everything works, but I appreciate that they are trying new things, and more often than not, it does seem to work. Now, favorite project that I've ever worked on for my channel, that probably has to be Fluttershy's therapy visit. No more than any other video, I have never felt quite so elated to have that released and shown to the public. It was something I never thought I could ever pull off when I was first starting making videos way back in 2013, but sure enough, a little more than a year after I had uploaded that first video about Fluttershy's weakness is also her greatest strength, I released that Fluttershy's therapy visit, and it turned out so wonderfully, and I imagine that's probably the one I felt the most elated about. Now, as far as any regrets I've had in my work, I suppose there are a number of things I wish I knew back when I first started making videos, so I could have avoided some of those amateurish mistakes that a lot of people make. I look back some of my earliest work now and cringe a bit because, yeah, it's a learning process, I know, but it's kind of hard to look at where you were and not say to yourself, oh, I could have done that so much better. So I suppose that is some regrets I've had.
Now, I felt it was appropriate to respond to the response out of professional courtesy, and because I have a tremendous amount of respect for Dr. Wolf and his work. Okay, so I like the response to the first question the most out of all his responses. It's a very interesting comparison to last week, where I stated why Luna is my favorite pony, because she's a trope that is underutilized in fiction, while his favorite ponies are ones that he can relate to. In a way, I kind of feel bad I had to basically twist his arm and make him choose. However, though, Doc, if I gotta take one cheap shot, you have Flutters on the front page of your book. I think everyone in the world kind of saw that one coming. Then again, I like Fluttershy too, so nothing really wrong with that. I noticed in the second question he mostly talked about ponies he at least relates to, rather than any one that he downright loathed or didn't like. Him talking about Rainbow Dash in a still relatively positive light shows what kind of guy he is. Part of me wants to point out that he could have pointed to other characters outside of the main six, but I'm glad that he didn't, because, again, it just shows how kind he is. Oh, and to answer the obvious elephant in the room, Luna is still my favorite character overall. The pony I relate to the most is Twilight Sparkle. On to the third question. I noticed there was a theme that shows the difference between myself and Dr. Wolf as fans. I personally like an episode for what it makes me feel, how it plays on my emotions. Slice of Life and the Cutie Map are two of my most favorite episodes because the former made me laugh like crazy and the latter made me feel genuinely unnerved. The Doc, if I'm right, like I said, I'm only going off his responses. On the other hand, likes relatable episodes. Fight to the Finish is a very relatable episode to a lot of people. Also, I do recommend checking out the Dr. Wolf episode he recommended. It's very well done, and I say one of his best. I kind of had to laugh a little when he mentioned that Hearts and Hooves Day is one of his least favorite episodes. Yeah, this is where Doc and I are kind of the same way. While he admits that his attitude has softened towards the episode a bit, and I will concede it is a good episode, I still can't stand it. I don't mind cringe comedy, but that schmaltzy, stupid love tap absolutely grinded on my ears. Now, I really do agree with the Doc about Season 6. There hasn't been an episode I disliked. In fact, one episode was so good it almost replaced The Lights of Life as my favorite episode of the series. I appreciate the risk, that's all I'm saying. Now, honestly, for what he feels to be his favorite work of his channel, Fluttershy Therapy Visit is one of those times where it was an excellent start to an excellent idea that worked off beautifully. Seriously, check out the video, then check out his other therapy visits with the main six. I think they are one of his best works. Finally, when he talks about his regrets, looking back on his own works, thinking that there was things he wished he would have done better, I can really relate to that. Before I started this channel, I made fanfiction on fanfiction.net. And looking back at my old stories, oh boy, sometimes I wish I could go back in time and teach myself proper storytelling. This past week has been a huge learning experience for me and also proved something. This past week has proved that Dr. Wolf is one of the most patient, kind-hearted, wonderful human beings, not just in the fandom, but human beings I've ever met. You put up with a lot when it came to me, Doc, and even when I was ready to get up, you inspired me to do more. One day, I hope to be as helpful as you are. For now, though, that's all I gotta say. Creature of the night.